Hi, this is CAD/CAM Lessons, and in this video I will show you a few basic issues related to preparing laser programs in LightBurn software. I will load the geometry here. I select Import, and then I point to the DXF file. I created this DXF file in FreeCAD, and this file was created in such a way that I generated a 2D drawing based on the edges of the solid. When it comes to the files we can import into LightBurn, we have many available extensions here. We can import many flat geometries here. These can be DXF files or SVG files, which are quite popular, and if, for example, you are involved in 3D modeling, in FreeCAD you can export the edges of a solid to a DXF file. In one of the videos on my channel, I showed how to do this. I will try to include a link to that video in the description under this video because it might be quite interesting information even for people who do not use FreeCAD but who work on 3D models. FreeCAD is a 3D CAD system that supports the STEP format, which is a universal format for data exchange between CAD/CAM systems. If you have a 3D model created in another 3D CAD system and this model is saved in the STEP format, you can open such a model in FreeCAD, and based on such a model you can prepare a 2D drawing, which you can then load into LightBurn or other software in which you prepare programs for cutters. Now to LightBurn, and we will discuss a few such basic issues related to program preparation. I will point out right away that in this video I will not focus on parameters, because parameters depend on what machine we are using and what material we are cutting. And when it comes to LightBurn and laser users, we have a really wide range of machines here, from simple diode lasers to CO2 lasers. So really, when it comes to parameters, the range of these parameters can be huge, but in any case, here we define the speed, here we define the power, and here the number of passes, as for the software in which we prepare programs for laser, plasma, and water jet cutters. When it comes to cutting parameters, we don't have many parameters here, and actually by performing a few trials we can adjust these parameters. Let's go back to the geometry, and so I have the geometry imported. This geometry was loaded in the center of the workspace. I have the workspace set up in such a way that in the x-axis I have 400, and in the y-axis I also have 400. And I have the x0, y0 point in the lower left corner. And at the beginning I would like to place this part in such a way that its position is as close as possible to the origin of the coordinate system. And here I have these dots, and these dots define the reference points of the selected geometry. Now notice, I have the geometry deselected, these dots are inactive. Now I select the geometry and these dots are active. When this dot is selected, this point, the lower left point of the geometry, will be the reference point of this geometry. And if we define coordinates in these fields, we will be defining the coordinates of exactly this point. Notice what happens here when I type x0, y0. This geometry was moved in such a way that the reference point of this geometry, the corner of this geometry, lies at point x0, y0. However, as you can see, these geometries were not connected. Each of these geometries that were imported here is a single geometry, so I undo these operations to get back to this place. And now with the selection window, I select all geometries. However, if you would like all these geometries to simply be one single geometry so that you don't have to select all geometries every time, you can do it in such a way that we select all geometries. And here, when it comes to selecting, we can also do it in such a way that we drag from left to right or from right to left. As you can see, we have different colors of selection windows here, and it works like this. Notice, now I am dragging from left to right, and only those geometries that are entirely within the selection window have been selected. Now I'm doing something similar from right to left, and the geometries that are at least partially in the selection window have been selected. It is a fairly standard way of selecting that occurs in CAD systems, so if you have experience with other programs, you probably know this way of selecting. And here we select all geometries, and we can group such geometries so that later when we select one of these geometries, all of them are selected. And to do this, we right-click and choose the group command here. Or we simply click this group selection icon, or we simply use the keyboard shortcut. And now notice what happens. I select the inner circle and the entire geometry has been selected. And now the corner of this geometry, the lower left corner, is the reference point, and we can move this point to coordinates like x10, Y10, and the part will be cut in this place. And we can preview this. We click this icon and this is what cutting this part will look like. At the beginning, the holes will be cut, and here this way of cutting is okay. However, situations may arise where it will be necessary to change the cutting order of selected geometries. And here, what we did previously made this geometry one single geometry, and we cannot specify, for example, the cutting order based on individual geometries. To do this, we must break this geometry into individual geometries, and we can do this similarly to the case of grouping, only here we choose the ungroup command, or click this icon. And now these geometries are no longer connected, and if these geometries are not connected, you have to be careful not to accidentally do something like grabbing and dragging a fragment of the geometry, but unconnected geometries have this advantage. We can manually specify the cutting order, and we can do this in two ways. We can do it by going to the Shape Properties tab. If this tab is not visible, expand the window menu. This drop-down menu is not visible in the recording, but when you expand the window menu, we have Shape Properties here. And just turn on the visibility of this tab. And now when you select a geometry, we have the properties of this geometry here. And as you can see, we have something like cut order priority. And here we can define the cutting priority for this geometry. We can do it so that this geometry has 0. This geometry will have 1, this geometry 2, and so on. We can define subsequent numbers for subsequent geometries so that these geometries are processed in exactly this order. And now when we go to the preview, the cutting will be in exactly the order we specified. This is one of the ways, and the second way is that we can move this geometry to layers. And we can do it so that this geometry will be first and will be on layer 0, 0, and then we can move this geometry to layer 0, 1. This one we will move to 0, 2. Here I will change the order a bit so that it is visible. 0, 3, 0, 4. And so, one by one, I will define the layers of these geometries. And here, as you can see, these layers appeared in the Layers tab in order, and this order defines the cutting order, and this order is primary over the order we created here in the Shape Properties tab. Here, as you can see, I mixed up this order, and now when we go to the preview, it will be cut in the order in which the layers are. Layers are the primary order, and if there are several geometries on one layer, we can also additionally specify the cutting order of those geometries there, and this can really be useful. Similarly, for each layer, we can define different cutting parameters. Here, for example, for this last shape, we can specify that the cut should be in 2 passes, and, for example, with a different cutting speed. Okay, I'll go back to having all these geometries on one layer. Okay, we have one layer. We also have properties defined for each geometry here. And now, what might still be useful is if you would like, for example, to cut several such elements, we can use the array option. And we can create a rectangular array. I choose the Create Array option. And here, for example, in the x-axis, I specify 2 elements. Here it was automatically done so that we have a default distance of 5 between these parts. We don't have to calculate the total width here. LightBurn simply defines it so that there is 5 between the geometries. And we can also define 2 elements in the y-axis. We click OK, and now we have many more of these elements. And here, notice that when I select a geometry, all geometries are selected. We can now go to the cut preview, and this is what it will look like. First, it cuts the geometries that are defined with priority 1, then the geometries that are defined with priority 2, and so on. And here it makes a lot of unnecessary movements, so when it comes to defining the cutting order, it would be best to do it at the end of the project. Of course, we can change it at any time, but it seems to me that once we have refined the geometry, that is when it is best to define the cutting order of selected geometries. Okay, and when we have such geometries, we can, of course, also break this, and now each geometry is already a separate geometry, and we can now define priorities for individual geometries. Of course, we can also do this in groups. Here, for example, we can define priority 1 for all these geometries, or let's set 0 here because we used that value before, and so on. We can define the cutting order of these geometries one by one. And now I go to the preview, and this is what it looks like. And okay, in this video, I focused a bit on the cutting order because at least for me it was quite important in some projects. Of course, in many cases, the default order that was generated, even though it was not optimal, was completely sufficient because the cutting time was simply shorter than the project preparation time. So in such cases, it doesn't always make sense to refine this order, but if we are doing something in series and we are cutting not one sheet, but dozens or hundreds of sheets, I think in such a case it is worth working on the cutting order, because even if we save a few seconds per sheet, we can save quite a bit of time over dozens or hundreds of sheets. And when it comes to running such a program, we can of course run such a program from LightBurn, and I think that is a good solution, especially since LightBurn can be installed on 3 different computers, so LightBurn can simply be the software controlling the laser, but we can also save such a program to a text file. Here we simply click Save G-code, and if the laser allows it, we can load this file on the laser and run it directly from the controller on the laser. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.